Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers he plucks. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
And I'm Sarah.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about how to avoid people like the Tinder Swindler.
You're not going to say enjoy the show?
Oh, it's not written in there. I know.
Oh my God. You want to do that again?
We're gonna have to do it again because I just someone must have hit enter it.
I had enjoy the show.
You know, it's down there. It's just a line. It's a space, and I didn't even notice. I completely forgot. It's been Well, okay, let's try this whole thing again.
Sounds good.
Hi, I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
And I'm Sarah.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about how to avoid people like the Tinder Swindler. And enjoy the show.
Hey, YouTube. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment below future topics you'd like to hear.
So it is February 2022.
Yeah.
The world has not ended yet. We are a week away from Valentine's Day. I mean, I figured it'd probably 2022 just seems like that's the great time for the world to end. Valentine's Day is a week away. We're recording. I'm, of course, in my suicide shack up in Vermont, but you are in a brand new place.
I am at a co-working space right now, no microphone, people talking behind me, but I'm in Medellin, Colombia. So I'll be here for the next month.
You had to say it in a douchey way, didn't you?
No, so people have been getting mad at me for saying it like Colombia. So people will correct you here. So now I'm over saying Colombia.
Colombia, okay.
Yeah, because I've been told by multiple people, you're not saying it right. I'm like, oh shit, okay, my bad, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So
fun fact.
So what are you doing in Colombia?
So I am working remote and filming some videos for a company called the WiFi Artists. They provide accommodation, weekend activities during the week, airport transportation, and this lovely co-working space that I'm at right now. So yeah, I have two roommates. I have my whole little apartment set up. We got groceries yesterday, so I'm getting settled, and everyone's coming in tonight, and I'm going to meet the rest of the group for this month-long trip here.
Okay. And so you're there for a month, and this is what for like digital nomads?
Yeah, so pretty much everyone here is a digital nomad. There's a lot of people here that are around 25 to 35 that all have remote jobs. So everyone I've met so far, works. A lot of people work in tech or are accountants or something.
Accountants.
I've met a couple accountants, and they're like, no.
Right. Not because now accountant has become, for those of you who are not in the know, which a lot of people might not be aware, that accountant is the TikTok term for people who do OnlyFans, as they are an accountant. So they clarify. They're like, I'm an accountant. I'm like a real accountant.
Well, I kind of gave a look, and they didn't understand why I gave it depends on the person, but the couple of people that I've met, like a handful have been accountants. So
okay.
But that's fine. Whatever. Whether they're OnlyFans or not, I don't judge. But
right, no, of course not. Make that money.
But there's a lot of people here from the United States, and I'm right now in an area that's heavily dominated by just digital nomads. So I've only been here 2 days. So in the future, I will be exploring more of the city. But right now, I just feel like it's just a hub for people who are just working remotely here.
Who coined that term? Because I really don't like it, actually.
Digital nomad?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something that just rubs me the wrong way with that phrase. I don't know why.
I didn't coin it, so
no, I know it wasn't you. I know it wasn't you.
It definitely wasn't me.
Just, they're just, I don't know. It's just such a weird word. They're just, why digital? Like because they work for remote? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like then anybody is a digital nomad if they are checking their work from remotely. Like I don't know. It seems like it's just such a
It's a lot. It's a different vibe though, that
Yeah.
I've only been here 2 days, but it's definitely a different vibe of people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna do yoga from 10 to 11, and then I'm gonna have lunch, and then I'm gonna answer some emails and do some work calls, and then I'm gonna go do salsa dancing after, and then I'm gonna do more work after." So it's not like a traditional 9 to 5 schedule. A lot of our activities are actually built in the middle of the day, which I'm like, I have work, so I don't know how, like, I have regular calls where
Right,
people are
right.
structured at a 9 to 5. So that's good that you can, do salsa dancing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I have calls at 2 o'clock, but it's just a different schedule and a different flow of things. But it's definitely slower paced and more chill people. So we'll see what happens.
Is Colombia a place where people do siesta, or is that something that's purely like a Mexico, Spain type thing?
I feel like that's more, I
Or
mean,
Spain, maybe, not even Mexico. I don't know.
I
Like
didn't, I didn't
I have no
experience
knowledge
that.
of this, so that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I didn't really experience a lot of that in Mexico, but also I was in a major city, so I don't know,
Hmm.
maybe that didn't apply.
Because
But I
I'm
think
all for
that's,
the siesta is what I'm basically saying. Like the afternoon nap is like part of my everyday life. So like I support that lifestyle.
yeah. I mean, I haven't really engaged with a lot of locals because I've been in this little hub of remote workers, so
Right,
I'll
right.
find out, I guess. I'll report back.
So you'll be celebrating your Valentine's Day in Colombia, and you were last Valentine's Day was you had a like a blizzard and you couldn't even really
Yeah, and this
celebrate,
year I
right?
said, "Fuck it." Yeah, this year I said, "Fuck it, babe. I'm gonna be gone." So it's
So
actually funny
yeah,
because
how's Master
everyone's
of None
asked.
going? Yeah, right, right.
Oh yeah, everyone's asking, "You left your boyfriend for a month and he didn't want to come?" And it's like, "No, he's super supportive. Do your thing. This is kind of your dream to be remote and travel and do the thing." So he's very supportive, but that's been the question when people find out that I have a boyfriend. They're like, "Wait, how are you doing this away from him for so long?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's not hard." Not that I don't miss him because I do already, but
Sure.
it's kind of nice to just be out on my own again, doing the thing.
I mean, back in the old days, men would just go to war for years and then return back to their spouse. So, like, you being gone for a month is nothing.
Yeah, in my eyes anyways, it's
Right.
nothing. So
What so you're meeting a whole group of people and essentially they're learning about you that that you abandoned your boyfriend back in Nashville for a month and that you have a
uh-huh.
podcast where you talk about relationships and dating and all of that. So it must be kind of interesting.
That and then hearing other people's dating stories and I'm like, you shouldn't tell me that, or I don't agree with that. I'm in the stage right now where things are good, but
Yeah.
I'm being not that I'm a bad person. Let me preface that. I mean, maybe you think I'm a bad person, but I'm being very polite and not showing the true me yet because I don't want to make enemies early on, if that makes sense. I've only met a handful of people, but I'm meeting more people tonight where if they say something where I would typically go, "Well, you're a fucking douchebag. I don't want to talk to you anymore." I'm stuck with these people for a month. So I'm obviously not saying that that's happened, but
Right,
I
right.
don't want to do that. So I'm just being overly cautious of how I say things. Obviously, I like to curse a lot. I drop the F bomb every other fucking sentence. So a lot of people don't. And I'm realizing, oh, maybe I should tone it down. And then I'm like, nah, fuck that. I'm still going to be me. And if they
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
like it, then I'll just really be by myself this entire trip. So
Which is perfectly fine. But
also fine.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's fine with me. I was in Arkansas for a month by myself, so I'll survive.
Wow, yeah, that's true. You were. It was like what 6 weeks?
It was 6 weeks,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'll be fine. If no one really likes me, that's fine. I'll survive.
Although it's not quite as simple as like Master of None could have did drive out to
He
Little
did,
Rock.
yeah.
Not quite as easy just to fly out to Colombia as in for a weekend.
I asked
Uh,
him if he wanted to, and he was like, that's not gonna happen.
no, he's just gonna enjoy. Listen, he's gonna just enjoy playing video games, cooking whatever the fuck he wants, leaving the dishes in the sink for as long as he decides that they're okay to be there, and and just probably not showering for a week. Essentially, is
I
what's
hope
gonna
he
happen.
showers. I hope he showers. But yeah, I know he's definitely gonna love not needing the kitchen to be clean because that's my biggest pet peeve working from home and there being dishes in the sink.
Right,
It
right.
fucking irritates me. Well, now I'm gone. He's like, whatever, I don't care. They'll stay there.
Yeah. And what So what is your plan as far as let's just we're gonna keep talking Colombia because I think this is really fun that you get
Are
to
you
be
seeing
there.
all the people walking behind me too? That
Oh yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
like
There's
all these
people
people in the
random in the
background.
background. Yeah, it's just like, it's just like yeah. Look, you know what it almost looks like? It's funny. It almost looks like a fake background that just has people walking like by. It's like
Really?
B-roll footage. Yeah, it's kind of what
Oh.
it looks like. So now in Colombia, you're gonna go do cool things or whatever as well. It is, and I hate to say this because I like Master of None, but it's almost too bad that you're not single. Like, is that awful? Not because I don't like you guys together, but because I just like the idea
You
of you
want the
like,
stories. You want the
yeah,
stories
yeah,
of
the
crazy shit I do.
single Sarah in Colombia would be pretty exciting, I think.
Well, remember when I applied to Bumble's thing to
Oh
be
yeah,
their travel person who used the app and connected with other people? That's like what I'm doing now, except for I'm not dating because that was the prerequisite for being part of that, like to be the connector bee or whatever they called it. You
right.
had to be single, or it was preferred that you were single. Where now I'm not single, but I'm still doing travel videos and connecting with people and reporting on my travels while I'm gone. So it's like the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I think you'll still meet people as long as they don't think you're an asshole.
Cannot be guaranteed on that one though. There have been times I've already wanted to be an asshole and I had to stop myself and say, be polite. This is still a first impression phase here. But I'm just so used to doing things just on my own that now that I'm in a group, it's the group mentality of, oh, well, I'll go together and do this. And I'm thinking, I don't really want to fucking do that. And I was telling Master of None last night, he goes, don't do shit you don't want to do. Like you're
Yep.
still your own person. You don't have to be polite. And I'm like, you're right. I'll pull my head out of my ass and I will do my own thing. So it's only day 2 here, but I'm keeping that thought for moving forward because there's a dinner tomorrow night, there's a dinner tonight, there's something tomorrow morning, and I'm looking at the itinerary going, I'm not going to half of these fucking things.
Well, because my guess is that they create these things because they don't want people to feel alone or feel like scared in a foreign country to go do these things by themselves. So they create these group events for that particular reason, not understanding that someone like you doesn't give a shit. You're like, I'm gonna go to the grocery store by myself if I want to. Like if I'm gonna go to dinner, I
Right.
can just go find a restaurant and go to dinner. I don't need to be with a group of people. I'm not scared of trying new things. But there's a lot of people that are. So that's probably why they have these things. And it's not really your cup of tea, anyways.
It depends on the vibe, but think about it. I've been working in my apartment alone for
Yeah, that's true.
2 years now, and now I'm interacting with people every day, walking around, getting a lot more physical activity and social interaction in that the past 2 days I'm just so low on energy at the end of the day. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? That actually I feel like I'm you, where I can't socialize with anyone anymore. It used to just be Master
It's
of None and
exhausting.
that's it. Yeah, it's so
Yeah,
tiring.
it is. So after last week's episode, we talked about Valentine's Day and how I didn't think it was a worthwhile holiday anymore, and you said that you do think it's still important, and that and then you had to prove to me on your Instagram that you were sending out Valentines to people before you left for Colombia. So so I want to ask. We know that he's not going to listen to this episode. What are you doing for Master of None for Valentine's Day since it's in a week?
I already gave him his Valentine's Day present. I wanted to hide it in the apartment and then
Right.
text him and be like, "Go find it." But I couldn't wait because I was excited to give him his gift. So I just put it on the kitchen counter and then when he came out for lunch, he was like, "Oh, look at this," and whatever. So I got him
Did
chocolates.
wait? You told him you didn't say he at least had to wait till Monday to open it.
No, I didn't give a shit. I wanted to be there when he opened it to be surprised or to be
Right, right,
excited
right,
or
right.
whatever. So I got him a card, which, he doesn't care about cards, but
Yeah,
still got him a card.
cards are dumb. Yeah.
Okay, well, I got him a card and then I got him chocolate that I thought he liked, but after he saw, he was like, "Can I be honest with you? I don't really love these."
Oh
But
no!
I didn't realize that because every time I buy them, he eats the whole fucking thing.
What kind
And
of
he goes,
chocolate?
"It was like the snow cap chocolates. The
Yeah,
little what
yeah.
well, because I bought like a big thing from Trader Joe's a while back, and he ate the whole damn thing when we were snowed in last year. So I figured, oh, I don't always get these, and he liked them the last time. But then he just said, I just like sweets. So really, I'll eat anything that's sweet, but I don't really like these, but I'll eat them. And I was like, well, sorry, I fucking bought them. You know, my bad. I'll go to the store and get something new. But that was just kind of a funny thing. So I got the card, the chocolates that he doesn't like, and then I got him a massage gift card, so that includes like the tip and everything, so he can book a massage when I'm gone and treat
Nice.
himself.
Is he someone that enjoys massages?
He does, yeah.
Even the chocolate thing, that's just funny.
I was actually sad about that though. I was so excited. I was like, he likes these. He doesn't like these. Oh damn.
it's reminiscent of my ex-wife as well. It's like
Fuck you. Don't compare me to Amy.
It's like you notice this with like this one thing, and you're like, ooh, like it's, you know what it is, and it's like, I'll just get that as a bulk thing because he liked A, so I'll just get a larger, you know, basically.
It was $3, okay? Yeah, it's not breaking my bank.
It's one of those things that it's now you know that he just likes sweets, so you can probably get him any type of chocolate. So then the other question is, what did he get you for Valentine's Day?
I'm waiting for this stupid thing to pass by.
Why?
The cleaning person just passing by.
She's gonna clean outside our video right now. She's gonna be on video, cleaning the windows.
I was waiting. He hasn't got me anything yet, but I told him what I would like, and I said, please just give me a call. I think it was a little awkward because the gift that I got him wasn't nothing. You know, it wasn't a cheap gift to get a massage.
Right.
So I think he felt pressured to spend the same dollar amount that I spent on him, which I said, you don't need to do. Sure. But I think after he opened that gift, I didn't tell you this, but he looked, and I told him, I confronted him. He looked like someone who was disappointed that someone got him a Valentine's Day gift because he was going to break up with him on Valentine's Day. That was how he opened the gift. That was how he opened the gift, like, oh, fuck. So I didn't say anything for about 10 minutes, and I looked at him, I was like, can I be honest with you? You didn't seem thrilled. And then he was like, well, you spend a lot of money on this. And I was like, yeah, because I want you to have this nice experience. You know, I don't expect you to spend the same amount of money on me. And plus I'm going to be gone, you know, as long as you give me a call and when we get back home, we do something nice. That's all I want, you know? But that initial look was like, you're gonna break up with me while I'm gone. It was just an awkward look when he opened it, but
yeah, I know that look that you mean too. That's pretty funny.
Like, oh shit.
Yeah. Oh no, they got me something. I have to break. How can I break up with this person now?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I know you guys, your communication style is odd, but hopefully he will still remember to call you on Valentine's Day. I'm sure we'll have a full report on that.
Well, that's the thing though. Our communication style in person is fine, but when we're not together, it's very one-off messages, and then I'll text him goodnight and not hear from him for another fucking 15 hours, and then I'm messaging him like, do you care about me? Like, why didn't you respond to that? So it's also weird because I have an iPhone and he has an Android, so he doesn't really use WhatsApp, which I've been using with other family members. But so we've been communicating through Instagram and doing like video calls on Instagram and messaging on Instagram. But I'd rather use WhatsApp, but he doesn't use it. So it's not the end of the world, but it's just like another barrier on top of knowing that his communication style is different because he doesn't like being on the phone.
Why doesn't he just download WhatsApp? It's a free app.
He has WhatsApp. He just doesn't check it.
It blows my.
I can't even make an excuse for it.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. It's funny. It's a little ridiculous sometimes.
The last message was, oh God, I can't believe I'm outing him like this. So he said, get some rest and don't do shit you don't want to do. And then a minute later, I say, you're right. 2 minutes after that, I say, how was your day? Nothing. 2.5 hours later, I say, night, baby, love you. Nothing.
Oh my God.
No response. Until this morning when he responded to something about Wordle. So yeah, that's our communication style while I'm away.
Yeah, well then hopefully he doesn't let the time get away from him and he actually calls on Valentine's Day. We'll see. Fingers crossed. We'll find out later.
TBD. He's got a couple days. We'll see.
That's right. I'll tell you what I've been up to soon, but we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Well, you celebrated your birthday, right?
I did.
You
yes.
something fun?
I was so excited to get out of town and go to like an actual town, like somewhere where it's not a half hour to everything. Yeah. Get somewhere that's a real place. So I went up to Burlington, Vermont, which seemed great, but I got there and it was pretty cold. It was a cold weekend for me to be there, which is fine. I mean, it's cold. It's winter up in the north, like you know, it's fine. But it was like cold. So I got there on Friday and checked into my hotel, and which is just nice in itself. I like hotels. Like I just when especially like a decent hotel as a Marriott, it was nice. Just being able to like know that you don't have to clean up after yourself. This is very nice. So I checked in and took a shower and changed clothes, and then the hotel bar was open, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna just go sit at the hotel bar. I'm not gonna try to venture out tonight. I'll have some dinner. Sat there, had a mediocre drink with a mediocre meal, and it was like it wasn't great, it wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, whatever. I had a couple drinks. And was talking to just the bartender, and it was actually pretty decently like there was probably like 8 people in there, so there was a lot of people, a lot of social socialization going on around me, but I just spoke only to the bartender. And then I was like, all right, I think I'm
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't trying to make any fucking friends, and
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah.
So then I like had my dinner, and I was like, I think I'm kind of done for the night. I guess I'm not going to venture out, because these 2 guys were sitting at the bar, and they were like, so where should we go? Where's a good bar to go to? And the bartender's like, well, you could try this place, and this is good, and it's only about 5 minutes down the road. It's not too bad. And they're like, okay, we're going to go there because the bar closed at like 9:30 on a Friday night.
What is with the towns that you're staying in and everything closing so early?
So early. So I was like, oh, that might be a good idea. But then like by the time I like finished dinner, and I was like, no, 9:30 is good. So I just went back to my hotel room, put a movie on, watched it. Like it was great. And then the next day I woke up and I slept for 12 hours straight. Like a solid 12 hours. I think I don't know why I would be tired, but I was tired. Woke up the next day and I was like, all right, I'm going to try to go do something. Looked at the weather. With the wind chill, it was negative 20 degrees.
Fuck that.
Exactly.
Go back home. Go back to Florida. Like I said, why the fuck are you in Vermont during the coldest time of the year? It just makes no sense.
I don't mind it normally, but so I was like, I'm not going anywhere right now. And I was talking on Bumble to somebody, and was trying to like maybe potentially make plans, and then to meet up. And I was like, I'm not going out. I'm sorry. I was like, I am staying inside today. And she said, I don't blame you. I can't really, argue with that. So I ordered the worst pizza I've ever had in my entire life. Which, like, how do you fuck up pizza, by the way? Like,
What'd you get? Cheese pizza? Just plain?
No, I looked for local pizza places, and there's this one like pizza place that had a bunch of cool looking pizzas, and it was like
good reviews.
I mean, from what I could tell, like it was like a 4.5 star, like something like that on Google Maps or whatever, through Yelp or whatever. And it was a bacon cheeseburger pizza, and I got some breadsticks, like cheese bread, bacon cheeseburger.
Who gets a bacon cheeseburger pizza,
I do.
Adam?
I do.
Yeah, of course that's not going to be
ground beef
good.
And bacon and cheese. That's fantastic.
Get a fucking pepperoni pizza. Get something basic that they really can't fuck up.
But they had good reviews, and they had cheesy breadsticks, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. I'll get that. And it came. And I'll tell you, it was like this place has never made a pizza in their entire life. Like they're like, what do we do with the dough? Like how do you fuck up pizza dough? Like it's so hard. It really is so hard to fuck it up. Like it was the worst pizza I've ever had in my life. Like I ate 2 pieces and that was it. And I left the rest of the pizza the entire weekend. And then
Did you leave a 1-star review?
I should have, but no, I didn't. It was and cheese sticks. Like, how do you fuck up breadsticks covered in cheese, like garlic breadsticks? Like, how do you screw those up? But they screwed them up. It was terrible. And that was my night. And so then I was like, all right, Sunday I have to do something. Like, I can't just be like a total slob on Sunday because I'm here till Monday. So let me try to do something. So I finally managed to actually get out of leave the hotel by like 4 in the afternoon. on Sunday. So I didn't do anything all day long. I didn't go around and see anything, but I drove around to the beach that was there, and
in the winter.
in the winter. Yeah, I was all bundled up, and it was really cool because the beach, it's Lake Champlain was all frozen. Parts of it was frozen over, and I stood there and I set up my tripod with my camera and I recorded a time lapse video of the sunset because I was like, this will be a really cool spot, and it was really cool watching the sunset over the mountains. And there were a bunch of people there just kind of wandering around, stomping around on the frozen like beach part of the beach where it was water, but it was like really shallow until one guy fell in.
Hell no. See, I fucking knew that you were gonna say some shit like that. Why?
Yeah, he was just stomping around with his kids, and he was telling his kids, "No, you got to be careful when it does this, and in these areas. So when it gets closer to the actual water, like to the edge of the water, you have to be really careful." And as he does that, he just plunges down to like his hip with one leg.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
and then he steps back out. Yeah, basically steps back out, and then continues to hang around and just lets it dry in the freezing cold. And it was really cool to just like, yeah. But so like I didn't do anything in Burlington, but except that, and I sat there for the sunset, and I was there for an hour and a half because I set up my timer and I was watching, and I knew when the sun was going to set, and about 5 minutes before the actual sunset, it was like 15 people all kind of showed up in this one little area, just randomly came in. Just everyone was standing there really quietly, just watching the sunset. It was really,
Aww.
it was yeah, it was like it was cool, like it was really neat. And then they all left as it started to set, and one guy was just talking about, we were kind of asking about where I was from and what I was doing and blah blah. And then and then he left, and there was just me and this woman, and she and I just started chatting. Her name's Mickey, and I want to give her a shout out because she was like, "Oh, I really want to listen to your podcast because dating sucks." She had just moved to the area from New York and was like trying to date in the area, but we just chatted for a while, and then it finally got cold enough, like as soon as the sun like dropped behind the mountains and it was like dark, it was like the temperature dropped like 20 degrees. I was freezing my ass off, and she looked comfortable. I don't know how people do this shit. So but it was nice. So we like yeah. So I made a little friend though, and that was fun. And that was my time in Burlington, and that was my birthday. And I was like, I almost felt bad that I went to out of town and spent money on a hotel and didn't fucking leave the hotel. And then I was like, no, like it was still nice. Like it was still nice just to not have to worry about cooking meals and not have to worry about, whatever, and just kind of relax and do my own thing.
You're getting older. You're doing what you like to do. That's a good thing.
What does that have to do with getting older, by the way? What the fuck does that have to do with that?
Because I think when you're younger, you're more likely to go along with the group and do things based off of pressures of others. When you're older, you're like, no, I don't fucking like this.
Yeah,
I'm gonna just hang out in the hotel room, and I have no expectations of doing anything other than what I want to do.
Yeah. You're right there. No, that's true.
And I'm old too, and I'm doing the same fucking thing. So I'm calling myself out. I'm not just calling you out.
Oh, I mean, I watch you. That's the thing is, I think I was just exhausted from watching your vacation in Mexico City, like just watching you run around and do all these things all day, and I was just like, I just have no desire to do those things. And then I got back, and the day that I got back, I got a message on Instagram from someone who is I think a fan of the podcast, or TikTok, one or the other, who was like, while you're in Vermont, you should come to Burlington. It's a great town to blah blah. And I was like, I was literally just there. Like and she was very very frustrated that she missed that. So, but
next time.
Yeah, next time. I don't think I'll ever go back to Burlington.
I was gonna say that's not a place you're gonna revisit.
I'd love to go visit sometime when it's maybe warmer.
Summer.
I will say that, yes.
When you should be there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anyways, that's what I've been up to. Nothing much more than that. I went to the grocery store and bought a shitload of Valentine's Day candy so I can enjoy the only good thing of Valentine's Day, which is the Reese's peanut butter hearts and shit like that.
Those are good.
Yeah. And the only other final thing I wanted to mention was I've been pretty active on TikTok as I always am, and one thing that got really controversial recently, and I thought it was funny that it was controversial, was that I was talking about 10 ways to screen out men on dating apps and to ask them, questions you can ask them, which ties into our topic. But one of the questions that I asked or that I suggested was what their favorite movie is, and if their favorite movie is a red flag movie, then that's a good sign to leave. Like,
what's a red flag movie?
So if it's their favorite, the red flag movie would be like Fight Club or Joker or a Wolf of Wall Street.
Is Joker bad?
Yes, or American Psycho or Clockwork Orange, like ones like that. So now it's very controversial because I said this, and then first of all, I have all these women. Well, I love that movie, so I guess I'm a walking red flag. And then, and then other women saying, well, my boyfriend likes that movie, but he's not bad. And so yeah, I had to explain. It's not just liking the movie. I love those movies. They're good movies. Like they are good, like technically good movies. But if you love it, like if you idolize these movies, if they are your favorite,
because they have toxic behaviors in them.
well, it's right, but it's different than even if it's a woman's favorite movie, it's different because movies have been made for men basically. Like that's if you think about it, like movies are made like men are the heroes, they're the villains, they're the main characters. Until recently, women like there's that whole Bechdel test about does a woman actually have a line in which with another woman where she's not talking about a man? Like it's.
Well, what if Mean Girls is my favorite movie? What if that was the movie that I happen to say is my favorite? Is that a red flag in women? Do you have
I don't think so. No, and that's the thing is I don't think there are red flags for women in movies. I think there are for men because we have been the center of cinema for so long. And so when we watch a movie, we identify with the protagonist. And so like if a woman loves Fight Club, she's not saying, "Oh, I wish I was Tyler Durden. I wish I was like in this fight." She's not saying that. If a man says, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite movie of all time. I watch it every week." Fucking Fight Club. He is toxic as fuck because he thinks he is Tyler Durden and he doesn't understand the nuances of the movie. That the movie is actually about toxic masculinity and it actually makes fun of it and it's all about same thing with Joker. If you watch Joker and you're like, oh, it's about this guy's struggle with mental health and how he overreacts, whatever. No, these men that watch it and think it's their favorite movie are watching it and saying, oh yes, this is all my white male rage channeled. Like this is, the war on men and he's finally fighting back for all this, quote unquote injustice that has happened to him. So it's a very specific type of mentality.
I can see your argument there. I think if you like the movie, that's not an issue. But if you identify with the character and that embodies part of your personality, that's where it becomes problematic.
Exactly. And so it is a nuanced, type of thing. But if someone says, oh, that's my favorite movie, like, and they seem fanatical about it, that's a red flag. And people are getting mad about it. Because, like, I love those movies. Like, I will watch Fight Club when it's on because I enjoy it. I also read the book and I understand what the movie's about. And so I can appreciate the movie, but someone's like, well, what if they just like the cinematography or something like that? I was like, if they like the cinematography, it's not going to be their favorite movie, because there are movies that are better at that. And so if that's their standard, they're going to have higher standards. So
do people really have movies that they obsess over? I guess that's a Star Wars. Like, never mind. I'm getting rid of my last statement there because as I said that, I was like, no, they're like people are big fans of Harry Potter and Those are like the two movies that I feel like have the biggest fan following of like they'll buy the merch and whatever. Where I don't see people buying merch of Fight Club.
Oh, maybe think about the posters and things like that. Like in the
maybe you're right.
I mean, even if you haven't seen the movie, everybody's seen the pink Fight Club soap. Like everybody's seen that because every bro has it in their hanging on their walls, a poster or in some type of pop culture. And so I would say that there are red flag movies, and it's not a red flag to like them. It's a red flag if they're your favorite movie of all time. And people, it really was it's a controversial TikTok.
But I think it can be your favorite movie, but if you like it for other reasons and not, I think it's if you identify. No.
I
haven't seen a lot of these movies that you're also identifying as red flag movies, and I'm like, no surprise. I've never seen Fight Club. I've never seen Joker. I've seen Wolf of Wall Street. That's about the only one that's the only one I know.
Well, I think that the issue is that if as a man watching the movie, if it is your favorite, it's not your favorite for any reason other than the fact that you are putting yourself in the shoes of the protagonist. Like that is why that movie is your favorite. There's not another reason for it to be your favorite. And that's what makes it a red flag. For women, it is different. Women watch movies through a different lens than men watch movies.
Never thought of that before.
Yeah, I mean, like if you watch Indiana Jones, every guy is watching it like, I want to be Harrison Ford. I want to be Indiana Jones, and that's how men
or James
watch
Bond.
Or James Bond.
I want to be, yeah.
Which is its own problematic version, although you can love James Bond movies, but he's kind of a piece of shit overall. He forces himself on women all the time.
I was gonna say, I just watched a Bond movie, and Master of None was saying, yeah, he used to have a lot more sex in the older versions and just fucked like all the girls, but now
he would say something, like really kind of aggressive to a woman, and she would slap him, and he would grab her by both arms and like pull her to him and kiss her.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's probably, but like the action stuff is cool.
Well, the action stuff is cool, yeah. But anyway, so like it is a controversial topic because I think people sometimes don't want to assess why somebody might like really call it a favorite. And like I said, I think women do view the movie through a different lens than men do. And that's a big part of it. That's why representation is so important. That's why, like, actually, for example, when Black Panther came out and men were like all of a sudden people of color were just like, wow, like here's like it's a movie for us, because so many movies have been just for white men.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
So, and then one woman commented, she goes, "My husband's favorite movie is That Thing You Do. What does that say about him?"
I wish I knew what that movie was, but
it's a movie with Tom Hanks about a Beatles type band that takes off. Like it's a music, yeah. And I replied and just said that just says that he has really bad taste in movies. It's not a red flag. It's just
there's no middle ground with you though. So
no,
there's like
not.
Yeah.
No. My opinion is very very staunchly set in stone.
We know that from last week, so that's not anything new.
So we can tackle. We can wordle. We can wordle. I just combined tackle and talk about. We can tackle other ways to screen out people, which I think is going to be the focus of our second half.
This will be fun.
Yeah, I know. Tackle, and my words are all jumbled right now. But
problematic men, more of that when we get back.
So Sarah forced me to watch this mostly terrible Netflix documentary called The Tinder Swindler.
I agree with you. The first 30 minutes were awful and I stopped watching, and then I was bitching to you about it. Yep. And then you were like, well, maybe I should watch it too. And then we both watched the whole damn thing.
Yes. And it got better after the first half hour, but the first half hour is terrible because you just don't like anybody in it. But if you haven't watched it, it is essentially about this woman from Norway who matched with a guy on Tinder, and he aggressively basically accelerated their relationship to such a degree that should have set up massive red flags and warning lights, but she went along with it. And long story short, he ended up swindling how much money from her? $250,000.
Yeah, from her it was $250,000. Another woman was $40,000, and then the third woman they interviewed was $140,000.
Right. So then it became this huge thing where they started investigating it and figure out that he actually has been swindling women and living off of all of these different women's money to take out the next woman, the next woman, the next woman. And so this documentary is how they figured out who he was and caught him and all of that. And Sarah and I, watching this, decided that this would be maybe a good tool for learning. Like maybe this could be a good lesson for how to avoid people like the Tinder Swindler.
Yeah, because the whole first half, I'm thinking, oh no, baby, what is you doing? Don't keep doing it. Like, stop right there. Stop messaging him. Why would you think sending a passport to a guy you barely know, like a photo of your passport, 3 days into knowing someone, is a good idea? There's just like red flags should be going off of, this is not normal. I don't care how much money this guy has. I'm not going to do that.
Right. And it's really like the red flags were I feel like were pretty evident in the way she talked about it. And I want to start off by us saying that suggesting ways for people to protect themselves and to use common sense to avoid being swindled or being taken advantage of or being catfished or any of those things is not blaming the victim. We're not victim blaming and saying that it's your fault. The fault is still the person who does this. But if in this situation, unlike something, and this is like, unlike something like sexual assault, where someone can go out, a woman can walk down the street covered entirely in a burlap sack and a garbage bag and still be sexually assaulted. When you're on dating apps, like, you have a little bit of space and a little bit of distance to be able to ideally protect yourself and not necessarily eliminate the risk, but reduce it significantly. So
Well, it's hard too because hackers are attacking people. Like there's a genre or a list of different places they're attacking people to hack them, and one of them is online dating because there's an emotional manipulation behind it where it's
yes.
easier for them to scam you for a lot of money because then you get invested and you feel like you have some kind of relationship, and that's the con. And like it's not victim blaming, it's just like you just need to be prepared for the terrible
Right.
outcomes if you
Right.
do notice some of these things.
It's better to be too careful than
Yeah.
it is to be too trusting in those situations. So we're
Which
not
sucks
gonna.
because you want to form a relationship with someone and think, everybody has good intentions and this is happening to me because it's just working out and life is so great and fantastic. But if things really feel like a fairy tale, I think that's the first sign to take a step back and go, why is it a fairy tale? What's happening behind the scenes instead of the rose-colored glasses?
Absolutely. And I don't think if you haven't watched it, we don't want to spoil the whole Tinder Swindler. It is such
I know
a
it's a tongue
it's a tongue
twister.
twister. Tinder Swindler. It reminds me of that 30 Rock thing when Jenna Maroney, she's in the rural juror and they can't remember the name of it. They're like the rural juror, the rural juror. Like they're trying to say, yeah, the Tinder Swindler.
Tinder
Not
Swindler,
not to be
yes.
confused with Tilda Swinton, who is an
Oh,
actress.
true.
But I don't want to spoil the whole thing. I don't want to like go through too much of the details of it because if you haven't watched it, you haven't watched it, and if you have watched it, you already know. But the point is that a man was able to literally take millions, probably by the end, I would say, from all of the women that were his victims, just by preying on their loneliness.
Yeah. And I'm sure he built a certain persona of who is easier to scam too. Because
Right.
I saw a TikTok earlier where it was like the TikTok song like major bag alert, and it was
Yeah.
like the Tinder Swindler matching with any Scandinavian woman with blonde hair because two of the women were Scandinavian. So
And I feel like they all kind of looked similar too. They all seemed tall. They all seemed they had very similar features. Even like, yeah, he had previous girlfriends. They found out, where he was from in Israel, and even they kind of looked like that too. So like he definitely had a type.
he definitely, well, a type, but he probably also just with trial and error figured out who was easier to con just based off of like early conversations, and then he just then started swiping right on girls that looked like the past girls that worked for him. Maybe, I don't know, but
Yeah, I think that's true. And we also don't know about all the failures he had. We don't know
that's true.
how many people he matched with because so his initial. Now this isn't always the way that it goes, but this is actually very very common. His initial approach was love bombing,
Yeah.
but love bombing with money. And like some people love bomb on dating apps when they match by just saying, "Oh, you're so beautiful." Like, well,
Well, he also did that though.
well, he did that too.
Also,
But like it seemed like even before the beautiful part, he would just be like, "I'd love to take you out. How about I fly you to Amsterdam for the night for a first date?"
yeah, and that feels like a fucking fairy tale, and you're going, who the hell is this guy, and why am I so lucky that I'm on a date with this guy and he chose me to fly out? I mean, it brings you up to I'm very important, and I'm important enough that he wants to drop $10,000 on some random night with some girl he doesn't know. I must be worth it, which you are whether someone spends that money on you or not. But it
Yeah.
definitely, that's the first chapter of building you up to this you're worth it and he loves you type of thing.
And the first rule is that if your first date wants to get you to cross an international border, just say no.
Bro. Yeah, that's a good one.
Like how about that for a first rule? Like if your first date involves you leaving your comfort zone and not having your own autonomy to get home, then you should
That's a
say
good point.
no
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah, well, because you wouldn't get into a car if they pick you up at your house and they're going to
Right.
drive you to the date, and then you have to get hoping that the first date goes well.
Yeah.
They're going to drive you back. You're even more fucked if they fly you to a different country and back because yeah, exactly. You're in a different country, and what if they're like, oh, the date didn't go well, so good luck in fucking
Yeah, good
Amsterdam.
luck
I'm
good
just
luck
going to
getting
leave your
home.
ass here.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck you. Good luck getting home. Like what if he's like, "Oh, you want to have sex with me?" Oh, then you're find your own way back home.
Right.
Eh,
Yeah, that sets up. Yeah.
If you and you're so right. Like if you wouldn't give a man your address to come pick you up in a car on our first date, which you should never do,
Hmm.
then why would you give him all your personal information so that he can buy you a plane ticket to another country? Like that is probably the well, good like just general rule of dating.
Well, also, just because they have more money doesn't mean they're more trustworthy either.
Yes, very true.
They're still people with no money and people with a lot of money can still be fucking douchebags who want to use you and gaslight you and all of those things. Money does not change that.
I would actually argue that people with a lot of money have even more entitlement and feeling sometimes that they just get what they want and they never have to like rules don't apply to them too.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So yeah, so this is the first rule, and I know that like our audience is probably not Scandinavian women who are looking, flying across the country or flying to other countries to, that's not a lot of our audience. There's probably some of them in our audience. We do have listeners in Scandinavia, but to I would say like trying to pare it down to just the bare
Don't let
rules that
someone
can apply.
pick you up
Yeah,
and know your address before the first date or before you really know them. That's
don't let them
probably a
wow you with something. Yeah, if it seems like amazing, then maybe step back and say, well, I don't know if that's really appropriate for a first date. Well, why don't we meet somewhere for coffee to see if I like you first, and then maybe we can schedule that
yeah.
for a second date.
It shouldn't be this 5-star restaurant on your first date because like we've said, what if it doesn't work out and you're stuck with the bill? If you can't
It's true.
afford half of what's of where you're going, you shouldn't go. At least not on the first date, knowing that you can't pay for it. You shouldn't go.
There was that guy was it in? I feel like he was in New York or something who would do that. He would take women out on really nice restaurants for dates, and then he would ditch. And so
Really?
they would go out for dinner and a really nice restaurant. They would eat a great meal, have great conversation. He'd be really fantastic. He'd excuse himself to go to the bathroom and then never come back and leave her with the bill. And finally
How
got
much is the
arrested.
bill? Like
I mean, it
$500?
was probably decently, you
Yeah.
probably imagine a few drinks and stuff like that. I mean, and a nice restaurant. So yeah, I remember reading about that, and I think that that's another
Damn.
reason that maybe our second rule should be this is why first dates should be like quick little meetups. They should be something, a coffee, a drink, something where you can get away quickly if it doesn't work out, but you can also meet the person in person and kind of gauge that chemistry.
Yeah. And going back to just meeting them in person, what I noticed in the documentary was that he matched with women and then asked them out rather quickly as
Oh
well.
yeah, very
So,
quickly.
yeah, it was like, oh, we matched. Hello, beautiful. Would you like to go on a private jet with me and let's go on a first date? And you're like, I don't even know who you are. So spend a little bit more time on the app. Don't just jump to the first date.
Yes. That is a great rule and one that we talk about a lot, and I think it's more
Yeah.
important than the people realize. I'll do actually I do this on TikTok. I'll say that on TikTok, and then I'll have this one particular subset of women, and I feel like they're always women that are like above 40, and I don't know why, who get mad at me about this. And they're like, I don't have time for fucking pen pals, so like I'm gonna meet them quickly. I want to meet for coffee as quickly as possible.
You
And
waste your time. You just waste more of your time.
well, and I'm like, yeah, like that's one big part of it is too, is like the time it takes to spend 3 to 5 days talking to somebody, which is not a large amount of time. Like just occasionally talking throughout the day just to see if you like them is less than the time it would take to get ready to go meet somebody for coffee, have them waste your time for an hour, and then you're done. But also just the safety, and I think that a lot of women in that age range seem to really discount the safety issues.
Because
Like,
they're
well, it's
older and wiser and they understand safety better. Like they're not in their early 20s, so they don't have to worry as much.
I feel like they've managed to survive this long without so like
Uh,
what's the problem, like they're used to being tough, and they're strong women and they're used to being tough,
yeah.
but not understanding that even if it's in a public place, men can get your license plate, men can like people have been assaulted in public, like in public locations, like actually physically assaulted at the car or even in the bar itself, so there's always still a risk. So taking the time, and I'm not saying months and months, but taking fucking
A
three
few days.
days, yeah,
Yeah. It's not a lot.
is
It's not
smart.
a
Is
lot if
smart.
Yeah, think of it in the grand scheme of things of dating someone. 3 days, if it ends up working out for 6-8 months longer than that, 3 days is nothing.
Right. So,
and you don't have to leave your house. You could be in your pajamas talking to them. You don't have to get dressed and drive and do all the things. You can just get to know them. And who's to say you can't do a video call where some of those apps have those features too, or something else that you feel a little bit more personal than just texting back and forth.
yes. And I agree. I think that's actually very very good point. Is that you can do the video call, you can figure out there's some basic chemistry, but you can kind of screen them out too. And what that time does too is that 3 to 4 days gives you the chance to screen out red flags. It gives you the chance, like if they get impatient, if they get jealous, if they get insecure, if they ask, oh, you better not be talking to anybody else, if they start bringing up sex, if they send you a picture of their dick, like all of these things are going to happen because people with these red flags, they can't hold off. Yes, there are sociopaths who can, obviously, but most men are going to try to, like, they're looking for the quick, try to get laid.
They want you on Snapchat. They want to get you on WhatsApp. They want to do something else besides just talk. They want to feel like it's progressing faster than what you actually want. So they'll do anything to try to say or do anything to get their end result. And they don't respect boundaries either.
Exactly.
If you keep saying yes, they're like, okay, perfect. She's a perfect target because she doesn't have any boundaries and she's not going to say no to me. So it's going to be easier for me to manipulate her and then eventually take all of her money.
So a good tactic would be to push back on a couple of things. So if someone does try to immediately get you off the app and say, oh, I'm just more comfortable talking on the app for a little bit longer, that's a very small pushback. Any reasonable man who's not like a crazy person or a sociopath or whatever would just be like, okay, that makes sense.
That's
no big
fine.
Deal.
Yeah.
But if all of a sudden he starts going, oh, come on, what's wrong? Like if he starts trying to push you.
You don't trust me? You don't
Exactly.
trust me? You don't think you like me? Is that what it is? You don't like me enough to message me on Snapchat or something? That has nothing to do with that. It's just safety and taking it at my own pace. And if they can't respect that, what makes you think they're going to respect you in a long-term relationship?
Exactly. The gaslighting is such a big thing that they'll do, or they'll just get shitty about it too, and they'll just get start trying to insult you, trying to neg you so that you'll agree to it, and that's an immediate red flag. Like immediately, if you set a boundary and someone doesn't accept that this early on, that is a red flag. It's not a yellow flag; it's a fucking red flag.
Here's another one. If you're telling everything to them and you're sharing so much about yourself, but then you're not getting anything back, I also think that's pause for concern of they know everything about my life and they seem so interested, but whenever I try to dig deeper and get to know them on a deeper level, I'm getting very surface level answers. Why are they so guarded? What's happening there? That's a yellow flag. I don't think it's a red flag, but I think it's just a what's going on?
Yeah, it is something that you have to consider too. If they're not really asking questions and aren't really engaging with you, it doesn't always have to be asking questions though. It doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to feel like they're interviewing each other. But like if the conversation is just not engaging, like you're the one, you feel like you're pulling teeth the whole time, then that is a sign that maybe they're not interested. Maybe they're just trying to bide their time until they can convince you to do something.
Yeah, and them messaging you, good morning, beautiful. Hey, sexy, you look so gorgeous. That's not a conversation. Them sending good morning text does not equal they're a good match for me.
It feels good to hear, hey, beautiful, you're so beautiful, you're amazing, I think you're so wonderful. It feels good to hear those things, but you can't let that convince you because that's just our egos telling us, oh, it feels good to have our egos padded, and have, my friend always say, have your balls padded.
Like, I was going to say, get your dick sucked,
yeah,
but that's not really.
Yeah, but it feels good to have that. And so you have to kind of have that part of your mind that's like, oh, I really like this, and realize this isn't real because they don't know you. How are they saying all these wonderful things about you if they don't know anything about you? But let's have to.
Yeah. Another thing, don't share all that personal information so early on either, just from another safety thing, not a red flag, but just let's be safe. Don't share. I just want to reiterate, don't share your passport information or driver's license or something.
Thing really drove that was because that is personal information. And I don't think he did anything with the passport in the
No, but
actual.
just knowing how
Yeah.
he turned and then he had that information, you don't know what other people are capable of. That I haven't even shared that shit with Master of None. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna, not that I don't trust him, but
That's a little weird.
There's no reason for me. Well, but he's not booking my flights too.
That's true.
But
That's true.
There's no reason for him to have all of that information unless he's.
Well, I will just say that when I would travel in like Amy would make sure that we had copies of all those, like when one of us was home, just in case something happened, we had copies of the passport with all the information. So like we had to try to find somebody.
Married, but you were married, not a month into dating.
That's true. That is true. That's the other thing too. Actually, let's take a break and then we'll get into this.
Okay.
So that's the thing I want to talk about was that this also the Tinder Swindler was that he moved everything very fast. Like they were a month into dating, but their dating wasn't dating like seeing someone a couple nights a week and going out for dinner. It was like once every couple weeks. So basically, I feel like they only saw each other like in 2 or 3 times total in the course of a month.
Right. It was texting every single day. It was video. It was a lot of digital conversations, but as far as actual FaceTime, yeah, maybe let's just say 10 hours in that first month.
Right.
Maybe. I mean, if she spends if
she had her first date with him where they went out to nice dinner, they had sex. And then I feel like they went.
She thought she was never going to see him again. That was the thing. She thought, oh, this is a fun experience. I'm never going to see him again. As most people would think, that's not a normal thing. Goodbye forever. That was fun.
Yeah. If only that had been like that. And she was okay with that. Like that would have been fun just to have that be the experience. But then he continued to like love bomb her. And the love bombing is really, I feel like, one of the biggest thing that scammers do. And it's the hardest thing to steel yourself against, because it is, once again, like I was saying about the ego, it's so easy to let that like get those compliments. But you have to understand that if compliments don't have any basis in reality, then they're not legitimate. Like telling someone that they're beautiful is great. Saying, hey, I really think you're an excellent writer, or I love, the way you do this. Like when you get to know somebody, all these little things about them that you can compliment. When you don't know somebody, you can only really say, oh, you're so beautiful. I can see us together. I want us to be together.
I want your children. I want to be married to you. Well, I mean, that early on, the ego is great, but that does not work long term. Also, thinking someone is perfect for you, nobody is perfect. And them not having or not showing any flaws at all, and you're like, oh, they're perfect, there's nothing wrong with them, everything's fantastic, and the rose-colored glasses again, that should be a sign of, why is everything so perfect though? What's happening here? Because you can't look at yourself and go, I'm perfect.
Right.
No. Just no.
you actually, that's really, you brought that up, you bring that up, and that's something that I had forgotten about, that when I was watching I wanted to talk about, was that the first woman, she really felt like he was out of her league. And I think
did she actually verbally say that?
She didn't verbally say that, but in the way that she talked about it, it was like, he is giving me attention. And I think if we can understand that nobody is out of anybody's league, and that just because he has money and travels internationally, doesn't mean that he is better than her. But she was really like, he's cute, and he's friendly, and he gives me lots of love, digitally, and not by digitally, I don't mean your fingers, but
okay.
On WhatsApp. These are also called digits, it's digital as well. Okay, sorry, I don't know. Yeah. But so she felt like he was stepping down to be with her, and so she should bend over backwards for whatever he needs.
But that's the position he wanted her in, though.
Right.
Because then she would be grateful for everything he's done for her, which would then line her up to give him money.
Right.
Because she's just so grateful that, yes, of course I will help you. It's positioning. He positioned her in the right way.
Which is why I think it's so important for people to understand that nobody is out of anybody's league.
Right.
And that, that if you are talking to somebody on a dating app and you just feel like this person is so much better than you are, I promise you that's not the case. Like that's something that's a red flag in your like maybe for you, like maybe you're the red flag in that situation. But if you are feeling that way when you're talking to somebody, I think you need to step back and maybe reassess the conversation and the relationship, because that does not sound healthy.
Well, think about it too. She thought he was perfect and everything was great. And then he ended up being the issue, you know?
Right.
She thought she was he was out of her league. And then it was, oh, actually, no, you're a fucking scumbag. Actually, I was better than you this whole time.
Yes. I mean, exactly. It comes all down to projection a lot of times too. And this guy was very talented in what he did. So like, not like I can understand, you get to a certain point, like he had, the name.
It was his job.
Videos.
It was, he's
yes,
a professional.
He's a professional. But in the end, if they had just listened to their gut in the very beginning, like the warning and paid attention to the warning bells at the very beginning, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. It is true, because there were like one or two lines being said of like, I don't know. And then that once that left the conversation and that like front of mind thought, it never came back up again. And they were just down this spiraling hill or whatever of, now I'm fucked. I'm about to like really get screwed over by this guy.
Yep. Yeah. They basically, he inundated them. He love bombed them. He made them feel like they couldn't live without him. And then all of a sudden he needed them. And they're like, how could we say no? It's like they were already hooked at that point. And so it's that initial part. And I think that obviously, once again, this is a different situation than like what a lot of our listeners might approach, hear about. They probably get my guess is a lot of the women see the military guy who's I'm stationed overseas, but I'm live in that area that you're in, and like they start talking about like what they do, and it's very like they use weird language, stilted
and they
language.
get serious very fast.
Yes, yeah, that love bombing starts happening, and I think that we need to people need to you have to have skepticism, and that's the most
and you
important
have to
thing.
take it slow.
Yes.
I think if you be skeptical and take it slow, there's nothing to rush, because when you rush into shit, you end up getting fucked, and not in a good way.
Not in a good way. Not the good kind of fucking.
Not the good kind of fuck. You might have one or two of those experiences, but in the end, it probably won't be a very great time.
Well, and in many cases you won't, because they're not real people. Like unlike this guy, like a lot of what our listeners run into, a lot of the catfishing and scamming are people that are using this to try to create purely digital relationships with someone on a dating app, usually older women a lot of times, and they love bomb them. They talk to them a lot. They really,
because they see them as damaged too. They go, oh, this is the perfect person because they're probably emotionally damaged. So I'm going to come in, swoop in and fix it for them and then fuck them over.
Yes. They're victims is what they see them as victims.
I mean, yeah, and then they really become victims though. Like they were fine, but they were fine before they met that person. And then they're like, okay, you're my next victim.
Yep. And they like they'll start off with, like you said, the hey beautiful, hey sexy. That is always a red flag. And it doesn't always mean someone's a catfish, but it always is like a flag. It's always like, oh, this is not a good start. And that's why my recommendation is anytime anybody on a dating app starts out with hey beautiful, hey sexy, anything like that,
unmatch their ass.
You can unmatch them, or your first response, if you want to test it, if you're like, you're not 100% convinced it's a red flag, you can say, hey, I have a name. I'd really prefer you just call me my name. It makes me feel uncomfortable to call me beautiful or sexy like that, and see how they respond. If they respond and say, oh, you're right, I didn't think about that, I'm sorry, Elizabeth, or whatever, or if they say, but you are so beautiful and I want to call you sexy or whatever, blah, blah, then they're ignoring your boundaries. And once again, that becomes a red flag.
I feel like I saw something in our Facebook group about that where she called him out and said, please call me by my full name. And he got really irritated with her. Yeah. And then she had to explain why it was wrong. And then he got more pissed off at her. And then she was like, fuck you, and unmatched.
Yep.
But that, if you would have just had that conversation at the beginning, instead of letting it play out, she just saved herself a whole bunch of time and potential heartbreak because she shut down an asshole at the beginning.
Yes.
She found out, she took a couple days to message him and go, oh, not a good person for me. or just in general.
She set boundaries, and then he didn't react well to those. And I think that that's something that even the scammer would not do well with. And I
Yeah.
so yeah. And so the starting off conversation, yes, that's always a big thing. And then if there's anything that's suspect or weird about what they have to say, if and I think a lot of this too is with a lot of our listeners, sometimes they match with people who have foreign ways of speaking. They're not speaking like they say they're American, but their language patterns and grammar is really bizarre. And that is that's something to pay attention to. That means maybe this person isn't who they're saying that they are.
That's true. Yeah. Well, because if you're never actually meeting them in person and actually talking to them, but the text messages read really weird, then yeah, that's probably something's weird there.
Did you remember that Reply All episode about the Nigerian guy who?
Yes, that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, and the woman like built this relationship with him for 6 months, and then I think he took her money too for something.
He did, although I think one of them ended up feeling bad about it. They actually talked to him, but yes, he took money. It was all about money. It was all about, I'm stuck here, can I borrow? It wasn't a lot either. Like it was less money than like this guy, but it was the same thing. They developed this relationship, but like his profile photo that he used was like a white guy in military uniform, and he pretended to be in the military, and he had all these lies that he was telling, and she believed it because he was so good at writing. He would write her poetry, and he would tell her how amazing she was, and she believed
it. Was his job, though. He had a script, just like the Tinder Swindler. He had a script that he stuck with.
By the way.
Because I know, I'm trying not to fuck it up when I say it. He had a script. He messaged all of these women the same fucking thing, the same photos, the same videos, just like that guy in the cafe. It was a profession. He had a script and it worked. It's a salesperson job. They get on the phone, they have their script, they sell you on something. They're not coming up with that shit on the fly. It's not real.
Yep. And if you get a sales call and something seems too good to be true, then you're going to say no to that sales thing. But if you're, you have to really be, and it's hard because people are like, well, I'm looking for love. I'm looking for a relationship. And so I don't want to be hard-hearted and skeptical, because what if I miss out on the opportunity, of a lifetime? I guarantee you, and I think this is important to understand, that if you take a few minutes, a few days even, to assess a situation with somebody, if it's meant to be, it will work out. If someone's a good match for you, it will work out. They're not going to be scared away by you being careful. If they are, then it's not a good match. Right? I mean, that's like,
I completely agree. Yeah, if they can't respect your boundaries, it just goes back to boundaries too, though.
It does.
If they can't respect you early on, it's not a good match, and you're wasting your time. You're not missing out on anything.
Right, exactly. You dodged a bullet. Earlier I was saying that I did this TikTok where I was like 10 ways to screen out people, and I gave a list of 10, and someone was like, what man is going to sit and answer all 10 of these questions or whatever? And I said, well, you don't have to ask all 10, but I said, but if he's not willing to even talk to you about some of these things, that's the sign that he's not worth it. Like, that's the red flag right there. And so it's that's what you have to realize, is that someone who is compassionate and has empathy and knows how to communicate will listen to what you have to say and be like, oh, okay, yes, please take your time. I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to be the one to make this choice, not me.
Because they're another human being. You don't want to date someone. You don't want to guilt someone into dating you.
Right. Yeah.
Also,
I never understood that, by the way. People are like, like trying to manipulate somebody into dating them. I'm like, why wouldn't you want somebody who wholeheartedly wants to be with you? Like, I don't get that.
Can I talk about the money? Because I know we're also like helping listeners, but if you're ever in the situation where somebody asks you for money early on, I just need X amount of money, or they're a friend, because in this situation, one of the people who was swindled was a friend of his, or so she thought. If that money is more than you're comfortable never seeing again, don't give them that money. Yes. Only if you're ever going to lend, this is just life advice, if you're ever going to lend anybody money, don't let it be more than you're comfortable never seeing again.
Yes.
So if you're comfortable, like I was telling you the other day, I would lend a friend money, but it wouldn't be more than, it depends on the situation. I don't think it would be more than $10,000. Some shit would really have to be fucking hitting the fan, or something, but
Right.
I don't even know if I'm comfortable not seeing $10,000 ever again. You know, like I don't have that kind of money, guys, but depends on the situation. But like, no boundary setting is key with anything. And also that, you know,
Yeah, I know the money thing just drove you was like you were very, very adamant about
how
this.
can you keep taking out credit cards thinking like you're
Yeah.
going to get it back? Because at the end of the day, it's like, fuck, I wouldn't be comfortable doing that. You know, it doesn't matter how much I love someone or care about someone. I have to be like, could you ask your grandmother who has a trust, like somebody with a trust fund? Because it ain't
Right.
me. I don't have the money.
Well, yeah, like he put these women into financial ruin,
Yeah.
and the other aspect of this is if someone is that like has such an exorbitant lifestyle, and all of a sudden like, hey, listen, I need $25,000 or I need $50,000 in order to fly to this thing and do this thing, I would just be like, maybe
Do
you
you
could
need
just
to?
fly commercial this time. Maybe I can find you a budget airline. How about that? You want to fly? Like there's
We
how
got
about
Ryanair and
yeah,
Spirit
exactly.
Airlines,
Ryanair.
you know?
Yeah. How about
Yeah.
I can maybe eat McDonald's for a couple days instead of going out to the 5-star restaurants. Like, it's one of those things sometimes where this
Have you heard of a
guy,
budget before?
yeah, and this guy was just complete garbage in the sense that like the money he was asking for, and they were like, oh yeah, he would need it for his business. Why? Why would that make any sense? Like their logic circuits were broken
But they
in
were
this
already
case.
down the path of
They
like
were.
it was really hard to connect the dots because he had already done a really good job of fucking up their like point of grounding them in any sense of reality, that they were so fucked up that like a $15,000 a month apartment seems normal. So anything is
Right.
normal. You know, anything more than that is probably normal too. I mean, they had no sense of where where things were actually normal.
I was amazed by that, and it really, you're right. Like you should never loan anybody money unless you are willing to not see that money again. So that it has to be an amount that's okay for you to write off. And that's a good life tip.
Mm-hmm. Just write it off.
Yes. I th-
Ugh.
I think that this all boils down to it, and this is really maybe this part might be a little victim blaming, but this all boils down to self-love, and that if you were in a place where you were okay being single, that you were happy as a single adult, that you were looking not for your other half or your bullshit partner in crime, but that you were looking for somebody to elevate your life beyond what it already is as a single person, not to fulfill your desire to be in a relationship, then you probably wouldn't have fallen for this bullshit. But that when you are desperate to be in a relationship, when you are lonely and haven't figured out how to deal with that as a single person, but you see relationships as being the solution, then you're going to be more susceptible to a scam artist who's going to love bomb you and compliment you, etc.
And that's not to say these women didn't have self-love, but I think that is a good rule of there's nothing wrong being single. There's nothing wrong with not dating. There's nothing wrong with saying, no, I don't want to date this person. There's nothing wrong with them, but it's a me thing right now. There's no shame in any of that.
Right.
And if you feel shame in that, it just snowballs. There's a lot of these little things that we've touched on this episode. It's all minor things, but if you don't catch it early on, it's going to snowball into a really bad situation.
Like losing hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I mean, yeah, that is the extreme version. I think
or being murdered, that's also an extreme situation that can happen too.
Yeah, that is also likely. Yeah.
I mean, because like with some of the shit that happened here, like it is very lucky that nobody got hurt. I feel like there was really a risk in one of these women getting actually hurt from this.
He threatened their lives.
Oh, constantly, yes. Every time he got caught, he would be angry and be like, how dare you, and he would just get so shitty.
And then that's when you go, oh fuck, he knows where my parents live. Oh fuck, he has my passport. Oh fuck, I didn't help myself on the front end to try to protect myself. So just protect yourself because you are your number one priority, not anything else.
Right. So let's go. What are our 3 takeaways to avoid being scammed by someone like the Tinder Swindler?
trust your gut, set solid boundaries. I would say the money thing. Don't lend anybody money that you aren't, you don't have an issue with seeing again. Just don't lend money out that you can't afford, you know?
Right. And then I would say that maybe my three that I would probably say is like, take your time getting to know somebody. Pay attention to red flags, especially love bombing, and set boundaries and see how people react to the setting of those boundaries.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
So I would say that's.
So we have six.
Six. Yes, six. Three each. There we go. And they're all good. They're all solid. And the thing is, like, you can also do all of this stuff, and we will say, like, a disclaimer, you could do all of these things. You could be as skeptical and protect yourself as much as possible, and still in the long run have like somebody scam you or somebody like manipulate you. Like, manipulators are skilled at this, so this isn't like this isn't the solution to it, but this will cut out 90% of them. And
tools in your toolbox.
Yes.
To use. Yes.
And so using that will protect you. And hopefully you won't ever get in a situation like the rural juror, the Tinder Swindler, the Swindler Windler, the Slenderman Swindler. Yes, the Tinder Swindler.
Well, I think we've wrapped it up here. Do you have any? That's it? You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, no.
Okay, I'm sweating. I'm sweating in this little cube over here. I'm like, I need to reapply some fucking deodorant. So if you have,
I can smell you from here, Sarah.
I can smell me, and I'm like, it's not getting pretty. It's getting worse by the minute. If you have any thoughts about this documentary or any other pieces of advice you'd like to share, you can share it in our group at facebook.com/groups/DKS podcast.
And if you have some red flag movies, or if you want to argue with me about red flag movies, you can do that on our Instagram at Data Kinda Sucks. You can also find us on TikTok. Sarah's at @SimplySarahG_. I am at Adam Heath.
If you are listening on iTunes, we have a goal of trying to get to 300 reviews. And after Adam had posted about that, we got a bunch of 1 stars, which woohoo, yay, more reviews, but not what we wanted. So please give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and be sure to follow on Spotify if you're listening on there.
Yes, I think it's my TikTok trolls will go and leave 1-star ratings on Apple Podcasts. So yes, your rating and review is very important. A 5-star rating and review. We're trying to reach this by March. We'd love to reach 300. We're almost there. Spotify has a new rating system too, apparently, which I haven't seen yet. But apparently, some podcasts you can actually rate. So if you have that'd be badass as well. And then finally, if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can. We have bonus content going there monthly, at least once a month, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, and that's for $5 a month. You can support us. That's patreon.com/DKS podcast. I had to go read it because I can never remember which is which.
They can't all be the same.
No, but with that, we're going to be back next week with a brand new episode, and it'll be Valentine's Day next week. So we'll see if everybody has a.
If we survive.
If we survive, we'll see what's going on there. And thank you for listening. I'll be back next week.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we get no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are 2 of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.